When we think of Venezuela, we think of a country sunk in crisis, right? But what few people know is that behind this economic tragedy, there's a select group living surrounded by mansions, luxury cars, and international trips. And you know what the most curious thing is? All this luxury is happening in a place where millions of people can barely buy food, while the majority stand in lines just to get bread. Others throw million-dollar parties with imported champagne. Strange? No. Today we're going to explore the luxurious side of Venezuela, where wealth and poverty coexist in such an absurd way that it's hard to believe they're part of the same country. Before we start, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our publications. And don't forget to leave your comment about the real situation in Venezuela. Without further ado, let's go. Venezuela is located in northern South America, occupying a strategic location that connects it directly to the Caribbean Sea. Just look at the map to realize it's over 1,700 miles of coastline, full of breathtaking beaches. And in the middle of this tropical setting is the Los Roques archipelago, a true paradise that looks like something out of a movie. But the country is not just white sand and crystal clear water. The geography here is a show in itself. To the west, the Andes Mountains border Colombia, while the center of the territory is dominated by the vast plains, a region famous for its cattle ranching and wildlife. To the south, the scenery changes once again, giving way to dense tropical forests that connect with the Brazilian Amazon. And then there's Caracas, the capital. It's located in a mountainous valley almost 3,300 feet above sea level, which guarantees milder temperatures, even though it's so close to the tropics. In addition to its natural beauty, Venezuela has a strategic position, being a gateway to the Caribbean and a former maritime trade hub. But unfortunately, the sanctions, the economic crisis, and the political instability of recent years have ended up compromising this advantage. The country has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, surpassing even Saudi Arabia. But as you will see shortly, this black gold has become more of a curse than a blessing, at least for the poor. Luxury islands. The life of the elite. In a world where wealth is abundant, the elite live in a paradise of luxury and opulence. Can you imagine a country that was once one of the richest on the continent and today is known for its economic and social chaos? That's Venezuela. During the 20th century, the country was a benchmark in Latin America. Caracas, the capital, was synonymous with modernity, with imposing buildings, a vibrant cultural life, and a standard of living that attracted attention from all over the region. But time brought a radical turn. More than a decade ago, Venezuela plunged into a devastating crisis. The local currency, the bolivar, lost value incredibly, hyperinflation soared, and oil revenues, which had always been the mainstay of the economy, plummeted. Internal disputes, mismanagement, and international sanctions only made the situation worse. Millions of people decided they could no longer stay. Today, it is estimated that more than 7 million Venezuelans have emigrated, seeking a better life in other countries. And you are probably wondering, so everyone there lives in misery? The answer is surprising, no. While more than 95% of the population faces extreme hardship, a small elite continues to live it up. And it is about them that we are going to talk about now. First, we have to understand where this 5% of the population lives, and our first destination is Lechería. Located in the state of Anzoátegui, it is a municipality of only 7.5 miles that seems to be taken from a luxury movie. There, mansions and gardens that lead directly to navigable canals where boats and yachts are parked as if they were cars. Not surprisingly, the poverty rate in the region is one of the lowest in the country. The inhabitants of Lechería are part of an elite that, in many cases, became rich during the golden age of oil, or, as various accusations point out, thanks to government contracts and corruption schemes. Others have relatives abroad who send them dollars regularly, which allows them to maintain an enviable lifestyle. But what is really striking about this small town is the level of exclusivity. It is a world apart, driven by dollars that circulate freely, creating a bubble of luxury in the midst of a panorama of crisis. And don't think that this exclusivity is limited to Lechería. In Caracas, neighborhoods like La Lagunita, Las Mercedes, and El Avila are strongholds of the Venezuelan elite. In these places, the imposing mansions and gated communities have private security, swimming pools, gyms, and supermarkets stocked with imported products that most of the population only knows from pictures. When we talk about the Venezuelan elite, we cannot leave out Las Mercedes, one of the most emblematic neighborhoods in Caracas. From the outside, it looks like a modern commercial area of any big city, but in practice, it is the true epicenter of the financial, cultural, and social life of the Venezuelan elite. At the beginning of the 20th century, Las Mercedes was predominantly residential, with modest houses. But from the late 1990s onwards, the neighborhood underwent a radical transformation. Houses gave way to trendy restaurants, sophisticated shops, and shopping malls. Today, with the relaxation of building laws, the area is dominated by skyscrapers and modern buildings, consolidating itself as a pink zone, a mix of business, culture, and leisure that contrasts sharply with the reality of most of the population. Even during the crisis, Las Mercedes has continued to reinvent itself. In recent years, luxury buildings have been built, such as the Torre Sena, with 19 floors of high-standing offices, and the Centro Financiero Madrid, a colossal complex with 32,000 square meters. It is there that the wealthy people of Venezuela circulate, living in a reality completely opposite to the rest of the country. And if you think this is already impressive, know that in 2021, a Ferrari dealership was inaugurated. Shortly after, in November 2022, the Galleria Avante opened its doors, a shopping mall that houses brands such as Balenciaga, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, and Gucci, where a luxury bag can cost thousands of dollars and shoes easily exceed $3,000. All this in a Venezuela where the monthly minimum wage is about $10, the equivalent of just over 50 reais. Prices are as high as in other Latin American capitals. A curious detail is that, despite all the glamour, Venezuela's infrastructure as a whole is quite deteriorated. Potholes in the roads, lack of maintenance, and precarious public lighting are part of daily life in many cities. But elite areas remain immune to these problems. The contrast is really absurd. The rich drive their luxury cars on pothole-ridden streets and at the same time can afford to buy a Ferrari or a Rolex. A sea of difficulties. The harsh reality of the majority. On every corner, the struggle for survival is visible, but what really catches the eye in this whole scenario is the distance between the two realities, that of the rich and that of the poor. Statistics show a deeply unequal country, where a minority lives in opulence and the majority can barely survive. While the businessmen and politicians behind the big companies and million-dollar contracts continue to get rich, the general population is in an increasingly desperate situation. The humanitarian crisis is spreading throughout the nation, affecting everything from basic services, such as healthcare and education, to food security. Millions of people face extreme difficulties in securing basic necessities, while others continue to live as if nothing is happening. Social inequality in Venezuela is a reflection of the mismanagement of the economic crisis and the structural failures of the political and economic system. A clamorous abyss. Wealth versus poverty. The upper class of Venezuela, for the most part, does not feel the direct effects of this crisis. They continue to live as if they were in another country, with access to imported products, international travel, luxury parties, and a daily life that has nothing to do with the reality of the streets. But we must remember that this luxurious lifestyle is not for everyone. The majority of the population, desperate and without prospects, continues its daily struggle for survival. On the one hand, we have the luxury mansions and yachts, and on the other, misery, with families who can barely feed their children. This chasm of inequality has become the main characteristic of Venezuela, and it seems that the division between these two realities has no end in sight. Scars on society. The impact of disparity. And while the government faces domestic and international criticism for its disastrous handling of the economy, the middle class and the poor continue to pay the price of this crisis that has no end in sight. What we see is a divided nation, where the contrast between luxury and poverty is more evident than ever, and where inequality has become the main hallmark of this sad chapter in Venezuela's history. If you liked today's video, please support us by liking and subscribing to the channel. Did you know this other side of Venezuela? Tell us in the comments and share your opinion. Don't forget to check out the video that appears on the screen right now. I'm sure you'll find it fascinating. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.